Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
What's life been like since January 22nd and your departure from Vancouver?
Well, for a while it was pretty boring. There's not much to do. You get home and watch my junior team, practice or play, or go out there and help them at practice. But other than that, it was pretty quiet. And then I started to make some calls about the NHL Network to see if they were still interested, and they were. So this is where I'm spending a little bit of my time right here now.
What made you get back onto the dark side, the media, Bruce? Why get back into broadcasting?
Well, the only thing is, it's like, when you've been doing something your whole life, and I don't feel really comfortable talking about anything other than sports or hockey, basically. And this is where you're getting your fill. I went to a couple Hershey Bears games and that, but you get your, you get excited again whenever you're talking hockey with people, because that's, it seems to be the thing that I know. So that's when I feel comfortable, or most comfortable.
Hey, Bruce, a month ago today, your final game with the Canucks, January 21st. Are you able to put into words what kind of emotions you went through that night?
You know what? The night was fine. We prepared the same way as we would prepare every game. It wasn't until maybe the last 5 or 10 minutes that you started to realize that this was going to be the final game. You knew it was, but you didn't really think about it too much until the empty net goal was scored. We were too involved in trying to tie the game up, and that's where the focus was. And then when the focus goes away from that, then you start to think, "Oh man, this is it." So it's a tough one.
Bruce, Donnie and I have been covering sports in this city for 20, 30 years. I can't remember a coach that was as loved by the fans as you were in your stay in Vancouver. When they were chanting, "Bruce, there it is," you said yourself you've never had that before in other NHL markets. What was your impression of the Vancouver fans?
Well, the Vancouver fans were always fabulous. One thing you learn to love about them is how passionate they are about the game. When we were losing, and they want their team to win so badly that they would get upset, and you would hear and see it sometimes. And when you were winning, they were there cheering to the end. So the greatest thing about going to Vancouver or any Canadian city, quite frankly, is you see the absolute passion they have for the game. So I was overwhelmed by their support, overwhelmed by the way they loved their hockey from everywhere. I remember it a lot like that when I was in Toronto growing up and everything else, but not as an adult, whether I played or coached in that city. They were overwhelmingly nice to me, and when I didn't deserve it, or when the team didn't deserve it, they were overwhelmingly letting you know that they weren't happy.
You mentioned Canadian market. I heard you on a radio station in Toronto last week, Bruce, talking about a Canadian market. How was it in Vancouver? John Tortorella just took a shot at the Vancouver media over the weekend. What did you think of the whole social media, Canadian market? It can get crazy sometimes, Bruce, in Vancouver.
It can be, but I thought they were, to me anyway, they were very fair. I think and I've always, everywhere I've gone, I've felt if I treat them right, they've got to do their job. And I was telling the people at the network this, I never, Elliot Friedman's a friend of mine, but I've told him too, you got to do your job. But if you treat the people nice, they can do their job, and they can do it in in different ways. They can either be really hard on you, or they can do it in a softer way. And I think because I was good to them, they were relatively good to me.
Bruce, you left Vancouver with a winning record as a Canucks head coach. Are you angry at anybody?
Nope. I mean, I'm grateful. I mean, to Francesco for giving me the opportunity. It's the first time I was out of work for a year, and when you start to get a little long in the tooth by other people's standards, that you don't think you're ever going to get the opportunity. So to get the opportunity to coach parts of 2 years more, I'm grateful, because I thought I might be done, and I wasn't, and it just gave me the thought that I know I'm not done. I've still got the passion, and I thought the energy to still do the job. So I was really happy that I got that opportunity, and I thought it was a great partial 2 years of my life being there.
What's in your coaching future? Can you envision yourself getting back to the National Hockey League?
I mean, I can. I watch it every night. I think I'm still very capable of doing the job. You just never know it works. So, all I do is basically I watch every team, see how they're doing, and stay prepared that if anybody wants an experienced coach, that I'm going to be available to work for them.
Most polarizing player in Vancouver right now is number 9, Bruce. What was it like coaching JT Miller?
I think JT is a great player, and he was easy to coach. He's very much like the Vancouver fans, is in that he's passionate and he wants to win, and so that's where he is. And I never get overly upset at guys that their main care is about winning.
Hey, Bruce, Elias Pettersson is on pace for over 100 points. I know you love this player. There's a captaincy void in Vancouver right now. Do you think he has what it takes to be a captain, Bruce?
I don't really want to comment on that. I will talk about Elias as a player.
Yep.
I mean, it's not my decision, and it's not my thoughts on whether he even wants to be a captain or what have you. But I do agree that 100 points is well within his grasp, and he does have the determination to be able to get there. He wants it. He's a player you can build your franchise around. He's just and he's a great human being. Comes to work every day, and I think the Vancouver fans and fan base is, I think they're going to be happy to have him, hopefully, for a lot more years.
Hey, Bruce, the trade deadline's around the corner. Can you talk about all your previous trade deadlines? How tough is it on players that hear their names and possibly moving? I mean, they got families. It's a tough thing, Bruce.
That it is. I mean, I obviously, as a player, even though I played a long time, was never in a trade conversation because it was mostly in the minors. But I can imagine, that it gets tough on players. Sometimes you have to uproot. You're not even uprooting people at this stage, but I mean, you're leaving your family for maybe a month to 4 months at a time, and they're going to school, and sometimes you have 3 and 4 kids, and it's tough to leave your wife, let alone doing that. I know I can talk about last year's trade deadline, and I thought some of our players were really leery. I mean, hearing their names every day, whether they were going to get traded or not. And I think it really affected them. And if you look at our record of the previous year, I think right around that time we played Buffalo, Detroit, and Ottawa, and I think we got 1 point out of the 6, and we were looking at that, and that was the week coming up to the trade deadline, and we thought that if we could win those, there was a really good chance of making the playoffs, and we didn't win any of those games. And then right after the trade deadline, we went back to the way we were playing, and I think we finished off very strong on the season. But I mean, the trade deadline really is something that players really think about. I mean, it uproots their whole lives, and it's and unfortunately, that's the unfortunate thing about being in a market like Vancouver is you hear about it every day. You can't get away from it. Everybody you see is asking you about it, so it's got to be on your minds quite a lot.
Bruce, before we let you go, and you touched on this earlier, but any message to the Vancouver fans?
I just want to thank them so much. I appreciate it, and the letters that they've given, and just the remarks. I'll never forget them forever. And I mean, I've been to an awful lot of places in my almost 50 years of pro hockey, and it's still as good a fan base as I've ever seen. Probably better than most as far as the way they treated me, and I'll never forget it. And I can only say thank you for everything they did for me.
Well, Bruce, you have a lot of people in this market who thank you for just a wonderful experience, in their opinion, with you behind the Canucks bench. Thanks so much for doing this. Appreciate it.
No problem, guys. Anytime. We'll talk soon.